And how long have you been with the Jersey City Police Department?
Since 1999.
1999.
Yes.
So how many years is that?
19 years.
19 years. And do you recall what your assignment was in the months of April through, let's say, July of 2014?
I was currently working K-9.
You still work with K-9?
Yes.
And what is the K-9 unit?
K-9 consists of a patrol dog, police dog.
And is there a specific shift that you would work with as the K-9 officer?
At that time, I was working 3 to 11.
And are you familiar with the with off-duty detail work in the city of Jersey City?
Yes.
And do you work off-duty details?
Yes, I do.
And how many out of the 19 years that have you been on the job, how long have you worked off-duty details?
Probably the whole 19 years.
Oh, 19 years. So it's existed for at least the time as long as you've been on the job?
Yes.
Explain for the court what your understanding is of an off-duty detail?
Off-duty detail consists of an outside vendor, look for police to do security, crossing. Stuff consists of trucks backing in and out, or being on the job for pedestrian walkway safely.
Okay. So you said it's an outside vendor?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Like, say, we have construction companies, construction sites. They hire us, police officers to do work for them.
And would you be assigned different tasks for different vendors?
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with the Skyway shutdown detail?
Yes.
Okay. Approximately when did that come into existence?
I don't know exactly when it came into existence, when it first started. I don't know exactly.
Okay. We'll show you some paperwork, maybe that'll refresh your recollection. What was the Skyway, do you know why there was a specific detail created with respect to the Skyway shutdown?
I just know they wanted certain streets, cops on certain streets in certain areas at a certain time. And consist of details.
And how does a Jersey City police officer get to work at off-duty detail? What is the process by which you're assigned or you get to work that detail?
We have job coordinators for every district. You'll put your name in, like a job pick. You'll pick out an order, and you'll put what jobs what days you want to work. If those jobs are open, days are open, you're welcome to work. So when you sign to.
And did you work with Skyway detail jobs?
Yes, I did.
And can you estimate how often you would work Skyway detail jobs?
Probably 4 to 5 days a week.
4 to 5 days a week?
Yes.
And were you able to pick 4 to 5 jobs in advance, or were you able to pick them up any other way?
Sometimes you can pick them, sometimes you have to call, and if they're open, you can just give them to you.
See, sometimes you could pick them, and sometimes you would
You
call.
call a district, and if they're an open job, you can have it.
Okay, and what would you have to do to call, if you were to call, if you didn't pick a job, but now you said you called the district and you picked up a job that way? What was the process?
If you call, and they give you the job, you'll report to whoever the job is at the next morning, and you have the supervisor come out and sign the paperwork.
So sometimes you would call and then you would report to the,
Yes, the next morning.
and if you called and reported to a location, what location would you respond to?
Whatever location was open, say, it'd be different locations. If the location is open, they'll give it to you. You ask them if the location is open, and if it's over, it's assigned to you.
So then the coordinator or somebody in the district would tell you what job was open and you would go to that
Yes.
location? Now, with respect to the Skyway detail, specifically, what was the responsibilities of the police officer working a Skyway detail?
Majority of the time, we're working in Skyway detail, you'll be doing crossings, you'll be at Main Street, and you'll be helping the pedestrian crosswalk.
And how were you, with respect to the Skyway detail, how were you required to be dressed?
Full uniform, your police uniform.
And what equipment were you required to have?
Reflective vest,
And full uniform,
a
full gear?
uniform, yes, these are everyday uniform.
And what is a reflective vest?
It's a traffic vest, so when you're doing traffic, people can see you in the street, cars can see you.
And how would you get paid for a how would you get paid, strike that, start over again. What was the process by which you would get paid working in Skyway detail?
You have a off-duty voucher, the voucher, you fill the voucher out, put your name, everything on the voucher. Somebody would come, a supervisor would come by and sign it. Once the supervisor signs it, at the end of your tour, you turn it into whatever district you're working.
Actually, I'm going to sit here so if you could just look over there are 3 manila folders over there. If you could just look first for what's been marked as, I think it's S12, the date referring to June 11th.
That's 12.
I think the first document is look for S12M, please.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. And what is S12M?
Off-duty voucher,
And who's off-duty voucher?
my off-duty voucher,
Okay, and there's a portion on,
mine.
and there's a portion on the top that says, "To be completed by the officer requesting off-duty employment pay."
Yes,
Is that your handwriting?
yes it is,
And is that your signature?
yes it is.
All right, and what time with respect to S12M, does it reflect a time that you worked at that?
Yes it is.
Okay. And underneath that, there's a detailed project name.
Yes,
Is that your handwriting?
yes it is.
What did you write in?
Skyway detail.
And why would you write in Skyway detail?
That way, the off-duty coordinator can know what detail was that I worked.
And with respect to the location, is that your handwriting?
Yes, it is.
And what did you write?
Jersey and Grand.
And why did you write Jersey and Grand?
That's the location I was with.
And how would you determine that location?
That's actually the location, when I got the job, when they gave me the job, they told me it was open, so I responded to that job, that site, and that's what the location I was.
And do you recall whether this was a job you picked in advance or whether this was a job that you were assigned?
I'm not sure.
And then look at what's next to it is S12A.
Yes.
What is S12A?
Off-duty voucher.
And who's off-duty voucher for that for?
Mike Marietti.
Okay, and what tour did he put in for?
0600 to 1000.
And what location?
Grand, New Jersey.
That's the location you put in for that day?
Yes.
Do you know Michael Maietti?
Yes, I do.
Did you recognize him?
If he was on the detail with me, yes.
All right, just put that one aside if you could for a minute, and then just grab S.
Same folder?
Yeah, that's the next folder, I'm sorry, just slide it over to the side. We're gonna ask you just a couple more questions about that. S10, the June 9th date.
S10.
Okay. The first document in there, what is that?
Offduty voucher
For who?
for me.
And what's the marking on it? S10H?
S10H.
I'm sorry, Ron, I just didn't have it.
Fine.
S10H,
Yes.
in evidence. You said that's your pay voucher?
Yes, it is.
And I'm just gonna, so it's your handwriting in the top portion?
Yes, it is.
Okay, what detailed project name did you put in for that on June 9th?
Skyway detail.
Skyway Detail, and what location?
Jersey Grand.
And if you could just look at S13,
Stage.
the next folder. The first document in there is marked what?
S13J.
S13J?
Yes.
S13J, Your Honor. With respect to S13J, what is S13J?
Offduty voucher, my offduty voucher.
For what location?
Jersey and Grand.
And what's the date on, for S13J?
June 16, 2014.
So based upon those three your three pay vouchers that you briefly testified to that are in evidence, you worked, is it fair to say you worked at the corner of Grand and Jersey on June 9th, June 10th, and June 16th?
Yes.
I'm sorry, June 9th, June 11th, and June 16th?
Yes.
How often did you work Grand and Jersey?
I liked the location I worked at whenever it was open.
You said you liked the location?
Yes.
Why'd you like the location?
It was busy all the time. People coming through. Keeps you going.
So you worked it more than just these 3 days?
Yes.
But in here you worked it 3 times in what amounts to 7 days? 8 days? And you said you know Mike Maetti. You ever work a post with Mike Maetti?
Not that I recall.
What do you recall? Do you recall working Grand and Jersey?
Yes.
You don't have any recollection of ever working with Mike Maetti?
No.
That's all I have for us in the meeting, Your Honor.
Thank you. Officer Williams, you've been on the job, you said 19 years?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the CCTV camera that's located at Grand and Jersey?
Yes.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, the CCTV cameras, they are cameras that will depict the entire area of the intersection of this, specifically this one, Grand and Jersey, correct?
Correct.
So if I were to be looking at a camera that's a CCTV camera for Grand and Jersey, I'd be able to see you if you were working standing on that street corner, correct?
Yes.
And if there's any traffic incidents, I could go back at some point in time and recover that information so that I could see who was working at a post such as Grand and Jersey, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that true for all the CCTV cameras, that they all record?
I think so when they're working.
Okay. And what's required, do you know, to put in for a recording for a CCTV camera?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Have you ever had an incident where you reported on the job to some incident and asked that a recording be made of that location of that incident?
No.
Okay. But you know it recorded,
Yes,
right?
I knew it before.
Now, do you recall on the specific dates that Mr. Stallman asked about whether you were assigned prior to the date in question for that location?
Not sure. I'm not.
Okay, you're not sure. But you do know that it was a two-man post, correct? And anybody that, strike that, have you ever heard of a master list or a roster that lists officers' names that are working for specific posts on a specific day?
The PO won't have it. The officer won't have it.
Okay. Did you ever see any of the supervisors have that master list?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And it was a printed list, correct? It's like typed? Typed. Okay. When you had signed up in advance, do you know if your name would be on that list?
If you sign up in advance, yes, your name will.
Okay. And when you didn't sign up in advance, how would you obtain that position?
You make a phone, excuse me. You'll call the district and see if there's an open.
Would you call the pick coordinator or
Pick
someone else?
coordinator, sometimes you call, just direct to the district. Because the pick coordinator is going home, so then you call the precinct itself.
Typically, when you picked up a post, what time of day would it be? If you weren't already scheduled, if you didn't get it at picks and you wanted to pick up an open post, what time of the day typically would you get it?
Between 6 o'clock at night to about 11 o'clock in the night.
So about 11 o'clock at night?
Yes.
Okay. Now you said the post of Brandon, Jersey was a busy post, correct?
Yes, this is school day.
Now, I used to drive my 3 kids to St. Peter's Prep along that route. That's right by the medical center, correct?
Correct.
So when you come off of the interchange of 14B off the Turnpike, which was the main artery that went into Jersey City from the west when the Skyway was closed, you get off there and cars that wanted to get to the tunnel would converge and come past you, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Right? You get onto, you make that left by the light rail, you come up to Pacific, make a right, and then you can make a right onto Grand, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And all along that corridor, that Grand corridor, there were vehicles that would be trying to get to the Holland Tunnel that wanted to go to New York, correct?
Yes.
You're smiling because you're looking at me, you're realizing that that's a busy place, right? So you were at the first intersection after you come off the junction, people coming off the Communicable Avenue junction that are starting to filter down onto Grand Street from a number of different locations, correct?
Yeah, around the second, forget Mom Street. Yes.
A little bit west of you is where all those streets sort of intersect and cars start coming out to Grand, correct?
I believe so.
Right? The west meaning towards Communicable. Right? From where Grand is? You know what I'm talking about? All right, let's strike that. Let's go back to cars that are making a right off of Grand, the ones that get over 14B. They're gonna, if they're heading east, they're gonna come past you at the medical center, correct?
Yeah, they can come that way, yes.
And is it true that that area backs up significantly because those lights, they're synchronized, but they start to back up and the box gets blocked a lot there, correct?
Yes.
And you know I'm speaking from experience, as I'm questioning this, you're laughing at me. So that entire corridor is trying to contain these cars, and as the cars make left-hand turns, on certain dates, the traffic police that are out there on these posts aren't letting cars make lefts at certain locations, correct?
I let them make the left.
You'll let them make a
Yes, I don't know
left.
about
There's
that.
actually a left-hand turn lane right there,
There's a left-hand
correct?
turn lane.
But further down, as you get further down, there's other left-hand turns you can take there that police weren't letting them take. Do you know that?
No.
You didn't know, okay. So it's fair to say that that detour route, that Grand Street, that went all the way down to the water, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever seen any motorcycle cops driving down Grand Street along that vehicular route from the Jersey City Medical Center down east? Do you recall? During this time period, approximately during this time period.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know, as you sit here today, if Michael Maietti was assigned on any of those given dates that you testified to handling the detour route along Grand Street?
I wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know. Okay. Do you know who Joe Ascalise is?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
He was captain for Jersey Police Department.
Okay. Did you know what his role was, if any, with regard to the Pulaski Skyway detail shutdown?
I believe one of the supervisors, the main supervisors.
The main supervisor, okay. And do you know if he had the ability to assign specific officers to handle traffic concerns that were occurring any given morning or afternoon on the Skyway detail?
I believe so. All supervisors have that.
All supervisors, and you said he was the main supervisor, correct? Okay. Do you have any specific recollections, Greg, do you have any specific recollection of these 3 dates that Mr. Stoma just asked you about, June 9th, June 11th, and June 16th, as you sit here today? In other words, do you remember anything about those particular dates in your mind without looking at your voucher?
No.
Do you have any recollection or knowledge of how well-staffed the district that Grand and Jersey is located in, I believe it was the East District, how well-staffed those posts were on those 3 dates that Mr. Stoma asked you?
No.
I don't have any further questions, thank you.
Thank you, I have no further questions. No questions.
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Wait,
Oh,
Judge.
I do.
Just, I
Redirect?
do have some.
Okay.
I'm
And then
sorry.
Remind me to give him the sequestration.
I do have some.
Don't have to apologize, President. Go ahead.
Okay. So you were asked on cross-examination, so that's the intersection. Brandon, Jersey. Did you work any other off-duty detail posts for the Skyway detail?
I don't believe not until that one was open.
Not until,
Not until they got rid of that location.
so you would work that 4 to 5 times a week?
If it was open, yes,
And that location?
that location.
That was your spot?
Yes, that's why I like it. Yes.
And that was a one-man post or a two-man post?
It's supposed to be a two-man post,
Well, how often were there 2 men out there?
not that often.
What does that mean? You work 4 to 5 days a week? You asked-
If there was another person there, maybe one, twice a week, maybe once or twice.
And you were asked on cross-examination extensively about the amount of traffic that was there, so that was a heavy intersection.
Yes.
And you said there was a school there as well on
There's a
cross-examination?
school there, there's a crossing guard. I used to chat with the crossing guard when she come on
Okay. And again, how were you dressed at the time?
full uniform with the traffic lights on.
Okay. And did you direct traffic?
Yes.
And on the days, you said 1 or 2 days a week that there was another officer there, what would they be doing?
Should be directing traffic.
Would you see them?
No, I don't recall, no.
No, I mean, would you see them?
Yeah, I
if
would
they-
see them. If they on Grand in Jersey, yes.
Okay.
There's only 4 corners there.
I'm sorry,
There's only 4 corners there, and the corners is not too far away.
The corners are not too far away, pretty square intersections, is that correct?
Yes.
And on the corners, there's a school,
There's a school. The school runs the face of the whole block of Monmouth to Jersey on the north side of the street.
and then across from the school, there's,
A diner.
oh, that's east of the school.
Right. You got medical center on the other side. And something's on the other corner. I don't know exactly what's
And so when you were working this busy intersection directing traffic 4 to 5 days a week, where would you generally be standing?
there. On the medical center side.
On the medical center side?
Yes.
And,
Jersey, yeah.
and if the traffic backed up, what would you be doing?
Go with the traffic, back to traffic. I will stay on that side of the street because most of the kids were coming off the light rail, so I was walking across the street.
Kids would come off the light rail and you wanted to cross them.
Right, across the street.
And you said there was also a crossing guard.
Crossing guard.
Um, On the, let me ask you this, if this was a busy intersection, and most of the times this was a two-man post, that that only one person was there, you said most of the time?
Yes,
Why would you continue to work that post?
just like to that spot.
You call ever see a Mike Maietta at that spot?
No, not mine.
And you know Mike Maietta, right?
Yes.
That's all I have, Judge.
Nothing, Your Honor.